Here is the bill. Bobby, come on over here. Now you're talking about trillions and trillions of dollars.
Trump just slashed the price of drugs and pharmaceuticals by upwards of 80% with a single stroke of his pen. This is absolute genius. What Trump just did today, if you haven't caught up, besides ending the escalating war between India and Pakistan, besides getting our final hostage from Gaza back, besides a major trade agreement with China and the UK, besides brokering direct negotiations between Russia and Ukraine, besides all that, he just signed an executive order that implements what's called most favored nation prescription drug pricing, meaning that drug companies will no longer be able to charge American consumers more than they charge other countries. You didn't know that? You didn't know that American consumers were getting hosed? You didn't know that you were basically subsidizing the cost for drugs and medicines for Europeans and their socialized healthcare? You didn't know that? Well, strap yourselves in. I'm going to show you exactly how you and I have been subsidizing the world's medicine and why today, thanks to President Trump, that all came to a decisive end. But first, as you know, our country witnessed a moment we'll never forget. We saw a man get shot, stand up, fist in air, and defiantly scream, "Fight!" Well, sadly, too many of us have lost our fight, and that's exactly how the globalists want it. They want us weak, they want us out of shape, and full of estrogen and microplastics. This is why we are so excited to partner with Chalk. Chalk offers a whole lineup of products formulated to increase your energy, your focus, detoxify your body, and based on clinical studies, boost your testosterone. In fact, the ingredients in the Chalk Male Vitality Stack have been clinically studied to boost free testosterone by 87% in just 21 days. Unlike with gimmicky vegetable pills or powder, you'll feel the difference, and they'll have the clinical studies to back it up. And right now, you can get 25% off your Chalk subscription for life. You heard that right, for life. Just go to chalk.com, that's spelled CHOQ.com, and use the promo code Turley. That's 25% off any subscription for life, and you can cancel anytime. Chalk is made in America, and their all-American customer service team is standing by to assist you. It's time to make men's vitality great again. Get Chalk today. That's CHOQ.com, CHOQ.com, promo code Turley. You can text them or call them at 50-CHOQ-3000. That's 50-CHOQ-3000. Do you remember this term that came out a couple of months back? They were calling it the Trumpocalypse. The Trumpocalypse. This was a term that leftists were using to describe the total destruction of their world at the hands of Donald Trump. Of course, it's a play off the term apocalypse, but most people, especially leftists, don't actually know the deeply profound meaning of this ancient Greek term. So whenever we hear this term apocalypse, we tend to think of dystopian scenes of nuclear wastelands or desolations or zombies or whatever. But the original meaning of the term is actually very profound. It comes from the ancient Greek word apokalypsis, which means to reveal, to make known what was once hidden but is now manifest for all to see. It's literally a kind of unsealing, to make manifest what was once secret and concealed. That's what apocalypse actually means. Now, it tends to be associated with end times because of the ancient Jewish apocalyptic tradition that involved revelations of what God was going to do in the period of the Roman Empire and bringing that empire down. So the last book of the Bible is called the Apocalypsis tu Ioannou, the revelation of John, and it's the revelation of what God is doing to bring that world order down. So the key here is that a Trumpocalypse is not merely the bringing down of an evil globalist world order. At its core, it involves revealing the secrets of that evil order. It's all about bringing to light that which was deliberately kept in darkness. And of course, we've been seeing that particularly with Doge, right? How Doge has ended up revealing how DC actually works. DC has become basically a massive trillion-dollar slush fund for left-wing interest groups here and around the world. We saw that particularly with USAID, how it used human suffering as a veneer, as a shield to cover up the massive transfer of wealth from taxpayers to bureaucrats who are making inordinately high salaries, all the while funneling tens of millions of dollars to their favored left-wing organizations. That was a revelation. That was an apocalypse. But as of today, Trump has just taken this Trumpocalypse to the next level with a pretty stunning revelation about Europe's highly generous welfare states and the so-called free healthcare systems that they have. Now, it turns out, again, in Doge-like fashion, we're learning now that we, the American consumer, have largely been subsidizing that supposedly free healthcare system. Now, this has been going on for some time now, but it basically comes down to this. Americans pay anywhere from 2 to 3 times more for the same prescription drugs as Europeans do, whose socialist national healthcare systems purchase in bulk, and European officials negotiate those bulk prices down to the bare minimum, all the while Big Pharma profits off the inordinate costs they in turn impose almost exclusively on American consumers. And they use those profits for research and development for more drugs. So Europeans contributed virtually nothing to R&D. Those R&D costs are covered virtually exclusively by profits Big Pharma makes from the American consumer. So we, in effect, subsidize the European socialist healthcare that they then turn around, running around, championing all the time, and then pointing their fingers at us, saying, aren't we so much better than you Americans? I remember it. I remember when I was in the UK getting my doctorate. And I would talk to people in Britain who would always turn around, and when this was during the Obama years, well, maybe finally you're going to catch up to us and have socialized healthcare. Do you remember even in the UK when they hosted the Olympics, they highlighted their free healthcare as one of their great societal achievements? You know, a great societal achievement that we're paying for, as it turns out. That we're subsidizing. We pay for the R&D that creates the drugs that you buy in bulk at discount prices that then the costs of which are then passed over to the American consumer. Well, no more. As of today's executive order, those days have officially come to an end. Check this out.
This means American patients were effectively subsidizing socialist healthcare systems in Germany, in all parts of the European Union. They were the toughest of all. They were nasty. And I see that. I see that with trade, too. European Union is in many ways nastier than China. Okay? And we've just started with them. Oh, they'll come down a lot. You watch. They treated us very unfairly. So they're going to have to pay more for health care, and we're going to have to pay less. That's all it is.
So what Trump has just announced there is that the United States government from now on be tying what Americans pay for certain medications to the lowest prices paid in other comparably wealthy countries, particularly those in Europe. So this approach is known as the most favored nation, or MFN pricing. And what it does is it caps the prices paid for certain prescription drugs, especially those covered by Medicare, Medicaid, and private insurance. It caps those prices at the lowest price paid by any comparable country. So Europe, Canada, Mexico, none of these countries can leech off of us anymore. You know, it's no secret that if you go down to the southern border, right, say like in Pima County, Arizona, go to the southern border, cross over, you can buy your prescription drugs in Mexico for like 200 to 300 times less than if you bought them here in the United States. We've allowed this unfair price discrepancy to go on for decades, and it's coming officially to an end. And notice, it wasn't Obama or Biden who did this, right? And that's because they were both bought and paid for by Big Pharma, as most of all other Democrats are. Here's Bobby Kennedy ripping apart Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, two big recipients of big pharma money, for claiming that Trump is backing the oligarchs, all the while they profit off of big pharma. Check it out.
But he can't be bought. Unlike most of the politicians in this country, he is standing here for the American people. I don't know what, there's writers like Lord Elizabeth Warren or Robert Reich who are saying that President Trump is on this side of the oligarchs. There has never been a president more willing to stand up to the oligarchs than President Donald Trump. And I'm very, very proud of you, Mr. President, for your courage, I'll say, because I don't want to be crude, your intestinal fortitude, your stiff spine, and your willingness to stand up for the American people. We have 4.2% of the world's population. Our country represents 75% of the revenues for pharmaceutical companies.
Again, other governments force Big Pharma to meet certain price points, which Big Pharma then agrees to because they know they can charge us, the American consumer, more. So as I understand it, brand name drugs account for about 86% of all U.S. drug spending, which is itself inordinately above and beyond any comparable national economy. Well, it looks like those days are finally over, as President Trump just said. It looks as if other countries are now going to actually have to pay more for their pharmaceuticals, all the while American consumers will finally be paying less. Hey there, Turley Talker. You know what? I'd love to hear from you. That's why I'm launching the Dr. Steve Hotline, where you can call in, leave a question, and maybe even hear your own voice featured on an upcoming episode of the show. Whether it's about the latest political shakeup or cultural trends or how we keep pushing forward in this new conservative age, I want to know what's on your mind. Call me at 717-844-5984. Just leave your question. I'll be checking in every single week to answer as many as I can. Again, that's 717-844-5984. Your chance to be a part of the conversation. One more time, 717-844-5984. Give me a call and let's talk.